What's poppin', everyone? You got your coach of the Chim Chargers here today with our Week 5 battle of the APA. And we're currently 4-0 right now. Very nice. Going undefeated. Hopefully we can continue that in this game. And we're going to be taking on my boy Vivid, who's the coach of the South Texas Sableyes. And his team that he brings here is pretty cool. He's got Silvally, Heliolisk, Necrozma, Swellow, Tentacruel, and his Zygarde 50. Of course, facing another Zygarde 50. I think we faced one in Week 1. Like, the thing that I don't really like about switching teams and stuff is that we might have to face some of the same mons. But other than that, we get to use a lot of fresh Pokemon, like this squad that we have here. Really cool mons that we have, really powerful Pokemon overall. If you haven't seen the team building video from yesterday, check that out, of course, in the description. Gives you guys a lot of my details on the sets that I brought. But yeah, so pretty cool team that he brought here. I definitely expected the Necrozma and the Zygarde 50 to show up 100%. I knew that would definitely show up. But I'm a bit surprised that he actually opted not to bring the Mega Scizor and the Breloom. Like, he didn't opt to bring those mons. I was really surprised about that. He brought a couple mons I didn't really expect to show up, but I'm kind of glad like he didn't bring Mega Scizor and Breloom because those things were kind of big threats overall. But I guess he might not have seen it too favorable in the matchup for himself, so I can definitely respect that. But I'm very glad that he opted not to bring it, at least for myself, because those would be some pretty big threats. But I was pretty prepared for that. Overall, like I had safety goggles on my Buzzwole for that Breloom, for the Spore and whatnot, but yeah, we don't get to see that, unfortunately, but fortunately, we don't have to deal with those mons. But my team, as you can see, like I have a lot of powerful mons on this team. I got like Zero Aura, Beast Boosting Buzzwole, Garchomp, and Mega T-Tar and stuff. We got Best Defogger, and we got Porygon 2 as well. Very nice squad here. But yeah, I figured like his potential lead, like looking at his team, right? In terms of Stealth Rocker, like his only one would be Necrozma if it was a Stealth Rocker, and if not, then it'd probably be an offensive mon. I'm thinking it's going to be some sort of sweeping Necrozma, just looking at his team by the way that it's sort of structured. I don't know if he'd have rocks on it or not, but yeah, like he has options for Toxic Spikes with Tentacruel, which is why I think Best Defogger will be very valuable to get rid of hazards and keep them off the field for our other mons. Our other mons such as, you know, Zero Aura and Buzzwole and stuff like that, and even Garchomp. Silvally's there too, very interesting. Just by like team preview, I kind of anticipated him to be Silvally Fairy, looking at his team, just because he might want an immunity to Garchomp's Outrage, potentially. But yeah, like maybe Spec Swellow, some kind of, I don't know, Scarf Heliolisk perhaps could be an option. Dragon Dancing Zygarde, of course, obviously, I would think. And yeah, maybe like a Parting Shot Silvally as a lead, so like potentially his leads would consist of maybe either Silvally, it could either be Heliolisk with Volswitch, Swellow perhaps with U-Turn and Scouting Out, just a nice fast mon as a sort of a lead mon, or perhaps even like Necrozma for if he does have rocks, or Zygarde, like one of his sweepers can easily be a lead to try to set up early on. But I figured that my best game plan going into this match was to lead with Zero Aura because I am a Shuckenberry set, really fast and a lot of great coverage that can really deal with a lot of his team, punch holes through it, and potentially even clean up late game if we can keep it alive. And my overall game plan going into this match was to try to weaken stuff so that I can either clean him up with Zero Aura, with SD Garchomp, or with my Trick Room offensive Porygon 2. So let's get right into it, see what he ends up leading off with, and what we can do in this match. So I'll show you guys right now. He decides to challenge me. This may or may not be his first mistake. So he decides to lead off here with the Silvally. I check my my in-game, and it shows that it's Silvally Fairy. So kind of what I expected, I guess. I just go right for the Plasma Fist, just so that I can get off some decent damage, just to kind of scout and see what kind of set he is. He definitely has some kind of bulk invested into this Silvally for sure. He goes to the Parting Shot though, gets that nice attack drop on myself. I don't take any damage though, so I'm perfectly fine with that. Getting some damage on that Silvally is always nice since it doesn't have recovery. He goes into his Zygarde, so I'm -1 attack and special attack. I do have HP Ice, but I don't want to stay in, knowing that I can't knock it out. I go straight to Buzzwole, which is a defensive Buzzwole set. I'm able to eat up the 1,000 arrows with ease. Look at shiny Buzzwole. It's looking kind of clean with that green and red. There's a nice pumping arms and that liquid. So I'm gonna go for the Earthquake here, actually expecting the Tentacruel, right? But he actually goes into Silvally Fairy, which is optimal, I guess, because that's my strongest hit to deal damage to that Pokemon in particular. So I'm going to switch out here into my Porygon 2, just anticipating him to go for some kind of fairy move, which is going to be his multi-attack. I can eat that up pretty well. I have a download boost in special attack, but his Parting Shot will essentially nullify that and just bring it basically back to +0. So I'm gonna go for the Tri Attack on his Tentacruel. It eats it up pretty well, so I'm kind of expecting this thing to be more, I guess, specially defensive. So I'm gonna go here into my best defog, you already know, Empoleon back out here. As he goes for the Infestation, so I guess he might have built this set to deal with Empoleon in particular, knowing that Tentacruel can't deal damage to this thing without sort of a chipping move like that, like Infestation. So at this point, you know, he's gonna go for the Scald, does not burn me. I go for the Scald, burn him turn 1, so now like I'm trapped. I just wanted to get a burn off on this thing, and I do get that. And he's gonna be trying to fish for a burn so that he can knock me out quicker while the Infestation takes me out. My thought process right now was that I would get off as much damage as I can on the Tentacruel, because I found that his answer to Porygon 2 was that Tentacruel, right? And because this is his Spadef wall, if we can chip this thing down a lot, Porygon 2 can easily become a win condition, because if we can essentially make sure that there was no switch-ins left, Porygon 2 can trick room up late game and just clean up a Tri-Attack. So I just decide to keep going for the Scald here. He actually doesn't get a burn, so with his Scald, I got it like turn 1. He doesn't get a burn at all, so I guess the water must be cold for him, as the saying goes. But yeah, so now basically I just decide to sack Empoleon. I have no other choice because I'm trapped. But this thing is like super weak, right? This thing is extremely weakened, and I can go into Zero Aura here, pick this thing off with the Plasma Fist once again, and Zero Aura once again coming through with that nice physical electric stab move, knocking out the Tentacruel. So he's gonna go here into his Necrozma, right? So this thing, I'm not sure what kind of set he is. I want to scout and see what kind of investment he has given into this Necrozma. Gonna go for the Plasma Fist, and he actually eats it up really well. If he wasn't invested a lot, it could have easily been a 2-hit KO, but he definitely has some kind of bulk investment for sure. He's gonna go for the Z move here, the Tectonic Rage. So this thing is gonna do a lot of damage to my Zero Aura. So as you can see, he goes for the Tectonic Rage. I actually have my Shaka Berry intact, being able to eat that up and living the hit from that Tectonic Rage, which is amazing. I'm gonna go for the Plasma Fist once again, just to see if I can weaken this thing a lot, because it just secures the sort of end game that I have in mind. But he actually reveals to have Moonlight, so I'm like, okay, he has a healing move. I'm gonna switch out here into my Garchomp so that I don't just keep staying with Zero Aura, because Zero Aura can definitely help me out later on versus stuff like Heliolisk and versus the Swallow. But at the same time I switch out, he switches out into his Zygarde. And I guess in fear of a dragon move from my Garchomp, he goes into Silvally Fairy. I predict that, anticipate him switching onto this thing, go for the Earthquake. I do get a crit, it did not matter, of course. Earthquake would have definitely taken that thing out regardless. And then he goes into Swallow, so I'm like, okay, my Garchomp's at full, I don't want this thing taking damage. It's probably going to be a Spec Swallow. I'm going to go into my base 700 T-Tar right here, Mega T-Tar, I'm going to get up the Sand, and he will be going for the Boom Burst. And judging by the damage, this thing is definitely 100% choice specs. This thing is hitting decently hard in the Sand too with my Spadef boost. So I'm going to go ahead here, go right for the Mega Evolution, and show him my base 700 stats right now as he tries to switch out. I go for the Pursuit, doing a lot of damage to this thing. I actually could have gone for the Ice Beam here, but I thought he might sack the Necrozma because it's kind of not as useful without the Z move intact. But he actually goes into Zygarde, goes right for the Dragon Dance. I'm going to go ahead here and click that Ice Beam just to try to get as much damage as I can. At this point, T-Tar is not as useful. Everything is kind of weakened on his side. But he actually reveals to have a Yachi Berry. And of course, because of the fact that his Necrozma had the Z move, I'm a little less worried about Zygarde doing a lot of damage, just because my Buzzwole is a very, very solid check to it. Because I have a lot of defense, I could take out +1 Outrage pretty well. I would be a little worried if he had Dragonium Z, but he did not, so that's really nice. I'm able to just go ahead and pick this thing off with an Ice Punch. So getting that Beast Boost. But yeah, Necrozma comes back in here, right? So he didn't bring in, I was a little confused why he didn't bring in Swallow or Heliolisk, something that was like guaranteed faster. He brought in Necrozma. I go for the Leech Life. +1 Leech Life, he still lives, so definitely has some defensive investment. He goes for the Photon Geyser, and I live at 6%, so this automatically confirms that his Necrozma was actually a physical attacking set with probably Z Earthquake and a physical Photon Geyser. That's why it didn't knock me out, because I have a lot of defense. So that just, I guess, kind of confirmed to me that that was a physical Necrozma. He goes into his Heliolisk. I'm just going to sack Buzzwole. Buzzwole did like amazing work. It knocked out the two biggest like threats on his team. Fantastic. Gonna go here into my Porygon 2 now, as you know, Heliolisk is, it's I expected him maybe to be Scarfed. Didn't know what his set was, so that's why I went to Porygon. I could have easily gone into Zero Aura if I knew what he was, but I didn't, so I didn't want to sack my win condition. Went Porygon to set up the Trick Room, but he reveals to be a sub Heliolisk. I break it with the Tri-Attack and he reveals that he's Glare. So basically I just found out he's bringing my strats versus me. You remember week 1 I brought the sub Glare Heliolisk. He brought that too, so you already know. My boy watches my videos. My boy watches me. So it's not bad at all. But I'm gonna go for the Tri-Attack. I actually do get the burn here, which is pretty nice, as he goes for Hyper Horse, which does a decent chunk of damage actually. But with the burn, it kind of prevents him from subbing, which is amazing. So like, if I get Parrot like I do now, I mean, I'm gonna be getting Parrot here. It prevents him from, you know, doing stuff like trying to keep going for sub, trying to get myself Parrot and things like that. So that's nice. I try to go for the Recover here so that I can stall out my own Trick Room so that Zero Aura can kind of win in the end. But yeah, I try to get up a, so essentially here, like now I kind of want to get up the Trick Room. Like if I get up a Trick Room, that Garchomp wins. If I get knocked out, if I don't get up a Trick Room, then Zero Aura wins. But I figured that I could try to solo him with Porygon 2, but unfortunately I get paired once again. So this game would have definitely been a 3-0 if I was able to not get paired with Porygon. But unfortunately that's how the game is. And Porygon's going to go down to Heliolisk here. And of course you already know, we're going to bring back in the Pokemon that we decided to lead with. Yellow Magic, that's going to be my Zero Aura. And we're going to hit him up with a Close Combat, show him another move that I had here. I could have actually, what would have been actually interesting is if I had gone for Plasma Fist and if he lived, and then Hyper Horse would have healed me, but I didn't want to do that just in case of him having some other kind of move on it. But yeah, he's going to bring in his Swellow as the last mon. And we started the game with Plasma Fist, we're going to end the game with a Plasma Fist, and that is going to be GG. It is, of course, your boy, Emvee. So, really solid game overall. And overall, like I really enjoyed this game a lot because it really sort of showcased Zero Aura's potential. Really fast mon that can check a lot of different mons in the tier or in the draft meta. And it also showcased Buzzwole's potential as a Pokemon that can really take hits very well, as we see. Like we saw it take a hit from Necrozma and from Zyger 50, which is amazing. But yeah, solid game to Vivid. And be sure to check out his side of the game, of course, as well. We'll be watching it myself. And yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. Chim Chargers are now 5-0, so we are still undefeated, still going. I really do like this this squad that we drafted this time around. I think is really powerful. I'm very excited to try out some of the other mons and whip up some new sets for next week. So that's gonna be that. Let me know what you guys think, of course. Looking forward to hearing from you all as always. And yeah, I'll see you all on the next video. Peace.